Okay, so I am a little late to the party again. Like, honestly, what the hell is it with this show? I literally leave off social media and train for the SmashCon tournament only to eventually realize add more episodes for this season. Anyway, complaining aside, it is nice to get this season continuing because a lot of stuff was left up in the air. Emi's dad is alive, the whole stuff with Alice, and Chiho's situation, considering she was possessed at the end of the first quarter of season 2. So, what can I say about these 2 episodes? The first one definitely puts it back into what episode 1 was. A slight, lightly fun episode, not too much of the plot, more of just fun shenanigans with the crew, but slowly going into serious things. Well, the second episode definitely dives into the serious stuff. So, let's go over episode 13 and then episode 14. When it comes down to this first episode, it's basically going back into the roots of, the Devil's a part-timer. We definitely get a bit of a recap of everything that's going on. Get basically Mao speaking with what is essentially Emi's mother, and then just pure shenanigans. Basically, McDonald's got an upgrade. So yes, he's all happy. Basically, he's just kind of going off on how cool it is that they have now a cafe place, which, I mean, that is pretty cool. But what is interesting is when the girls arrive, they obviously give Mao the baby, Alice Ramos, because that'll keep him distracted, even though he kind of already knows that that's basically what they're trying to do. But they take Chiho because basically Chiho wants to be helpful. Something that is a lot more prevalent going forward, because it definitely seems that Chiho has the ability to use their magic just in a very unique way to her. But what is interesting is that since they know that Mao, first of all, they know that Lucifer's not doing shit. He's just doing his own thing. Mao is too focused with Alice, so the only person who's going to be following them will be Alciel, which, yeah, it's right. Alciel basically follows the same path as Emi in season 1, just eavesdropping, trying to check if they are up to something, which they are, but they kind of don't go into details. He even called Miss Suzuki, which brought her hopes up only to kind of be let down, which I feel bad for her. They do get a phone call from the landlord. They're basically just kind of doing hard labor, and eventually this leads to them all going to the bath, with the girls basically training Chiho to channel energy of some sorts, while also talking about a funny little topic that puts them to shame. But it seems like they're just trying to train Chiho to be able to connect to the celestial force, which Chiho's role is going to be vital, considering that in season 1 she had a interesting sudden connection with those from the other world. This will be helpful in the sense of trying to link her to all of them in Japan should something be going on. But definitely the episode just ends on a very high note, with all of them speaking amongst themselves, with the reveal of a guy in a tuxedo and a small samurai suit, and then the new opening for season 2, which, let's get into the important stuff that is episode 14, because this has to do with Emi Yusa herself. Episode 14 definitely starts as fun, the whole McDonald's stuff. But I kind of want to skim a little bit away from that, because it's just a bunch of life lessons with just basically Mao getting to be trained into doing some cocktails and beverages, and basically being a barman, as his manager wants to be one. Continuing on to the main factor of this episode, it has to do with Emi. The thing is, something that Susanoo brings up is that by having Emi train Chiho in the Celestial Force, it keeps her mind away from the whole thing about how her father is alive and that whole issue that comes up with that. Because think of it this way. Emmy has hated Mao. She's hated him for so much because obviously he's the reason her father had, quote unquote, died. And then the whole events of season 1 is, well, Mao is changed for the better of sorts. Should I still go for my revenge or not? This bombshell that her father's alive completely turns everything over its head, because at this point, it's like, why should I have revenge when he's not dead? So, yeah, it's more conflicts, as well as the fact that she's forced to be in a parent-ish relationship alongside Mao with Alice Ramos, because now they're both parents. You could just put it that they're just acting as divorced parents, but they are basically forced to take care of Alice, and they both clearly care for her. So that's where it's also another issue. So 2 big issues that really put everything into perspective. What is interesting is rewatching Sariel. From the beginning of this season, him getting kicked out of McDonald's basically just made him depressed and skinny as hell, because he has not been eating a bunch of burgers like he was before. But this eventually leads into him thinking that he's sensed the manager and going on a fucking crazy spree, which, poor Susanoo. Everything comes together whenever, obviously, Mao and Emmy is definitely mad. At some point, as Mao and Chico are walking home, Emmy eventually is angry at Mao. He's kind of a bit off guard, but he obviously remembers that the other angel had basically revealed that her father's alive, and yeah, Emmy is still, well, mad at him, so he's trying to play the villain role. He's trying to be like, well, I'm just gonna go and lead and cause destruction, which, I mean, no one's buying that fucking BS at all. And what is an interesting factor is that Emmy actually caused him to get mad, and it means genuinely mad, when she basically shouted that she thinks that he wants someone to recognize him for doing something big, which, I mean, it's true considering how his reaction turned into extreme anger. But before he could even fucking say anything, he gets teleported and completely caught off guard by basically another demon that wants to drag him back into Isla. And yeah, and with this, that little samurai is just off. We get a little fight scene. I love it though that Chico just managed to pop on in when he's trying to explain this whole Japanese thing regarding sumos. And yeah, eventually he's like, what the hell? How did you get here, Chico? Which shows that, yeah, she has potential to basically be a part of the group, in a sense. But it also puts her in danger, which, yeah, Mao has to protect her. Once they, thanks to Sariel breaking the barrier, Susanoo and Emmy basically going into combat. In the end, what is interesting is that little samurai is related to Alice Ramos, considering that Alice was not going to try to harm what is essentially another Yesod, whatever this thing is, because it is, as Alice puts it, Gebura is Erone. Basically, it is just another one related to her, which obviously brings in the mystery of where this one come from and why does a demon have, well, another version of another Alice Ramos, basically. Overall, I like these 2 episodes. I definitely think that they're interconnected in the sense that one is a lot more lighter, more building stuff up. This one is basically setting up for what we're going to encounter. A demon's basically trying to drag Mao back, Emmy with her mental conflicts, Chico learning Celestial Force, and Mao dealing with his things now that Emmy decided to bring that bombshell into his life of just kind of saying that, well, he's trying to impress someone or gain someone's recognition, which, yeah, that didn't went well for her. Well, it wouldn't have went if he wasn't interrupted. But anyway, gotta give these episodes a pretty solid 8 to 9 out of 10. Still pretty good. Love this season. Hate that I'm late, but hey, better late than, never.